Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode here on European Confessions. The following story that you're going to be listening to, it was sent to me by one of our dear brother. The message that he sent to me, it reads like this. Hello, Brother Nashi, how are you? Can you please post my own story as hidden identity? So, Brother Nashi, I know that after you would have read my confession, there are some people who are not going to like my confession, but this is my own story. So, my brother, I am a pastor, and I used to hate this African religion a lot, but now I am confused. My mother, when she was still alive, she used to be a traditional healer, and my father, he is a herbalist. So when I was still growing up, I used to hate everything that they were doing because I thought that it was just too demonic. And at our house back in the village, there used to come a lot of people because my mom, she was someone that was very powerful. So when I was all grown up, that was when they sent me to Harare, and I started studying at the University of Zim. Whilst I was there, then I started to go to this other church, and I joined the Scripture Union. When I was at Scripture Union, that was when I told myself that I have a calling. Then I started to go to the Bible school. When I was going to the Bible school, then my mother called me, and she told me that my ancestors, they wanted me to ask them for their permission so that they can allow me to become a pastor. So I thought that maybe I knew it all. I thought that me praying, it was going to chase away the spirit of my ancestors. So, Brother Nashi, after I had gotten married, there was this other day when I was busy preaching in church. This was after I had graduated as a pastor, and whilst I was busy preaching, then I started to feel really dizzy. I quickly finished the sermon, and I told my wife that I was not okay. That was when it started. So the spirit of my grandfather, he is the one who possesses me. So his spirit will come and it will possess me. So you can just imagine me being a prayer warrior and my wife as well being a prayer warrior. So we started praying, casting out that spirit of my ancestor who wanted me to become a traditional healer. When I saw that this spirit kept on coming to me and possessing me, because when this spirit possesses me, I do not even know what will be happening to me in that moment. So my wife used to tell me that this is what the spirit of your ancestor is saying, but she would not say that this is the spirit of your ancestor. She will say that the demonic spirit that is possessing you, this is what it said, and we should not listen to demons. So we would pray and we would pray. So it then happened that I then went back home, and when I went there was a funeral. So my wife, I don't want to lie to you, she did not like my parents, and I also contributed to that because I told her that there is a lot of demonic stuff that happens back in our village. Since my mother was a witch doctor, I did not believe that she had the power. She was given those powers by God. I believed that the powers were given to her by the devil. So my wife did not like to go to my village, so I went alone to that funeral. Whilst I was at that funeral, that was when the spirit of my ancestor then possessed me. And after the spirit of my ancestor had possessed me, it then said that this one, I can see that he has refused. He thinks that him being a pastor, it makes him to be very important, but what he does not know is that the same thing that he is doing, praying for people, that is what I wanted him to do, but using the African way. He was just going to help people, being a traditional healer. So he thinks that he's much more wiser than his ancestor. So since I have seen that he has refused me and he does not thank me for giving him the life that he has, it is far much better that I end his life, because I want to show him that I am much more greater than he is, for his blood is my blood. The blood that runs in his veins, it is my blood. So after the possession had ended, that was when I was told that this is what the spirit of my grandfather had said, and I rebuked that spirit. I rebuked rebuked that spirit, and I said that the God that I serve, he is much more greater than this demonic spirit that kept on possessing me. So the spirit of my grandfather had said that since he has refused to accept me, what I'm going to do is that when he is traveling back to Harare, I want to show him how powerful I am. I want to show him that he belongs to me, for he is my blood. I am going to take the car that he will be driving, and I am going to lift it up, and I am going to leave it on top of the tree. So when I heard that this is what the spirit had said, I kept on rebuking the spirit, but my relatives told me that this meant death. I was going to die. It was not like the car will be left on top of the tree by the spirit of my grandfather, but this meant that along the way I was going to have an accident and I was going to die. So when my mother told me that all that they wanted to do was to find a traditional healer who was going to come, so that at least a traditional ceremony can be done, and then my relatives can ask the spirit of my grandfather to release me so that I can continue with my life. Because at that time, this spirit, it was disturbing me, since it wanted to show me how powerful it was. I know that some people will say that you did not pray hard, but my brother, I am the one who was in that situation. I know how hard me and my wife, we were praying. My wife, I tell you that she was a prayer warrior. We were praying each and every day. When my wife came to the village, she was deep in prayer. We kept on praying. Even the day when the traditional healer came, we were like praying and fasting. So after we had been told that a ceremony was supposed to be done, me and my wife, we kept on praying, and we were doing a day and night prayer, chasing away the spirits of the demons that were possessing me. But my brother, the day that they did this traditional ceremony, that was when I was confused. And even right now, what happened on that day, it left a lot of confusion in my heart. And I even wonder if indeed our ancestors, if they are alive and if they are always with us. So when the ceremony was being done, that was when the spirit spoke. But the traditional healer told my wife that the spirit of my grandfather said that it wanted to show my wife that it was much more powerful than these little prayers that we were doing, this fasting that we were doing. We were just wasting our time, for I belonged to my grandfather because I am his blood. That was when the spirit of my grandfather possessed my wife when we were praying. The moment that I saw that my wife was possessed, my brother, that was when confusion entered into my heart. How could I explain the situation that was happening in that moment? There I was busy praying and casting out the demon, and my wife was also praying. Then that thing that we thought was a demon spoke through her. The moment that my grandfather possessed my wife, the first thing that he said that, bring me some beer. Bring me some traditional beer. So then chibuku, that traditional beer from our country, was brought to my wife, and my wife started to drink that beer, the chibuku beer, and she drank. And this was a pastor's wife, a powerful prayer warrior. And she was humiliated by that spirit of my grandfather. After that, me and my wife, we then returned back to Harare. When we returned back to Harare, this spirit kept on possessing me. So my wife, one day, after the possession, I then woke up and I asked her what had happened, because she was scared and she was sad. And she then said that when the possession had happened, she started praying. That was when my grandfather spoke through me, and it said that you have come into my family. You have come into my family, and you want to set your own rules in my own family. I woke up after the possession had happened. That was when I saw that my wife, she was really sad. I spoke with her, and she said that the spirit of my grandfather had spoken through me, and it had said to my wife, so you are the one who is doing this in my family. And I want to show you that your prayer does not work for this man that you call your husband. He belongs to me. He is my blood. So my wife was told by the spirit of my grandfather that she was going to die. And we thought that maybe this was a joke. We prayed, and my wife got sick. And after my wife had gotten sick, we kept on praying until she passed away. Dear listeners, right there was a message that was sent to me by our dear brother, who is saying that he is still confused about what happened on that day when his wife passed away. Strange things do happen in this world.